The high-pitched squeal of motorcycle brakes skittering across scorching asphalt was the first sign that something was about to go terribly wrong on that quiet suburban afternoon. 11-year-old Lily Alvarez, perched on a small wooden stool behind her bright yellow lemonade stand, sensed the danger before she saw it. She spotted a looming silhouette reflected in the side mirror of her father's parked truck, a tall, lanky figure dismounting a custom Harley-Davidson. Even from a distance, the rumble of the engine seemed laced with menace. Despite the sweltering heat and the fumes wafting in the air, Lily forced a smile. After all, she prided herself on delivering the best and coldest lemonade in all of Riverside Grove. Her mother's secret recipe involved fresh lemons, a dash of lime, and a sprig of mint for that extra pop of flavor. If a thirsty biker pulled up, she was ready to serve. She never turned away a customer, especially since people had been generous today. Big tips, supportive nods of encouragement. She was saving up for a brand new bike helmet. Her current one had a cracked strap she'd repair with tape. Eager, she waved at the figure approaching her stand. From behind the tinted visor of a battered helmet, she couldn't make out the man's expression. But something about the way he moved, the rigid gait, the tense shoulders, radiated hostility. He lifted a hand to yank off the helmet. Oily strands of hair spilled out, and as he shook them away from his brow, Lily glimpsed bloodshot eyes and a contorted sneer. "Hey there," Lily squeaked, her voice a wisp against the cicadas droning in the background. She cleared her throat and tried again, reaching for her trademark cheeriness. "Welcome to Lily's Lemonade. A cup is $1, or 3 cups for $2.50 if you want a deal." He didn't respond. Just let his gaze roam over her sign. It was hand-painted in neon colors. Lily's Lemonade, ice cold and best around. Then his eyes flicked to her cooler, her little stack of paper cups, and the plastic money box by her elbow. A flash in his eyes gave Lily a chill. She thought maybe he was looking at the tips from earlier in the day. She had done well. Almost $30 in total. Way more than usual. "Lemonade," he finally muttered. His voice was gravelly and slurred, like he hadn't slept in days. "Sure, 1 cup." She nodded eagerly, poured out the perfect measure, and handed it to him. His hands, heavily inked with angry-looking tattoos, trembled as he took the cup. The moment he lifted it to his lips, Lily knew this wasn't going to be the typical exchange of a crisp dollar bill for a fresh squeeze treat. A gush of lemon water dribbled down his chin. He flinched as if scalded, letting the cup drop to the ground. Lily watched in horror as it rolled, forming an arc of pale liquid on the pavement. She braced herself for a complaint about the taste or temperature. Instead, he simply stared down at her with a kind of wild fury. That's the worst lemonade I've had in my life," he growled, though Lily knew her lemonade was delicious. She'd sold countless cups over the past few months, and not one person had ever complained. Certainly not like this. "You're charging $1 for that? Robbery," he spat. Lily felt tears pricking at the corners of her eyes. She'd never been called a thief or a cheat, and she was the type to give free refills on the hottest days. I'm sorry," she stammered. "Maybe you got a bad cup. I can pour you another." "I don't want another." He stepped forward, looming over her table. The faint stench of beer and nicotine filled her nostrils. Her heart hammered. "You owe me more than a cup. You owe me my money back. In compensation for that garbage you call lemonade." He slapped the table with the flat of his palm. The rattling cups made Lily jump. She tried to keep her voice even. "You didn't, actually pay me," she said, nerves jangling. Her eyes flicked to the open money box. He obviously hadn't given her the $1. His eyes drifted down to the crumpled handful of dollar bills stuffed in the box. "Looks like you've been doing good business, kid." His lips twitched into a mocking grin. "Why not hand it all over?" Lily's mouth felt as dry as the sidewalk beneath her. She'd heard rumors about crime in the bigger cities, but Riverside Grove was a place where neighbors left their front doors unlocked. Still, everything about this man screamed that he was trouble. "Please," Lily said quietly, "I'm just trying to—" Before she could finish, he slammed a fist down on the wooden stand, shattering the makeshift shelves. Cups toppled. I spilled onto the ground. The heavy plastic pitcher of lemonade splashed onto Lily's shorts, soaking her in icy sweetness that made her gasp. She watched in despair as her day's work, her dreams of saving up for her helmet, spilled across the sidewalk in a golden puddle. "You think I won't do worse?" the biker snarled, taking a step toward her. Lily's heart climbed into her throat. She thought to scream for help, but her voice was locked away, overshadowed by the towering man. In the distance, she heard an engine rev, but she could barely think straight. And that was when a calm, steady voice sliced through the tension. "I suggest you back away from the girl." Lily glanced past the trembling cups and the broken stand. Standing at the curb, tall and composed as if he'd materialized out of nowhere, was Jason Statham. Yes, the Jason Statham, the British action star everyone recognized for movies about street racers, spies, and unstoppable assassins. He looked nothing like the glamorous Hollywood star Lily had seen on posters. Gone were the sleek suits and the special effects. He wore a gray t-shirt stretched across a lean but powerful frame, faded jeans, and scuffed boots. For a second, the biker paused, confusion flickering in his bloodshot eyes. Then he hardened his glare again. "Who do you think you are?" he hissed. Jason narrowed his eyes. "Someone who doesn't stand by while a child is threatened." He took a step closer, voice low. "Now let's settle this the polite way, mate. You leave, and we forget this ever happened." The biker let out a hoarse laugh. "You're that action guy from the telly, aren't you? Think you can take me?" A tense silence settled over the small sidewalk. Lily, soaked in sticky lemonade, couldn't help staring at Jason. She knew him from her dad's movie nights. There was something about the set of Jason's jawline, the cool assuredness in his gaze, that told her the situation was about to change. And she could only pray it changed in her favor. Jason's expression reminded Lily of the moment in his films right before he sprang into action, quiet, direct, and unwavering. He took up a position near the broken lemonade stand. Although he wasn't quite as tall as the biker, he carried himself with the coiled energy of a panther, every muscle alert, anticipating the next move. The biker snorted and started pacing in agitated circles, revving himself up. "You sure you want to do this?" "I've got nothing to lose," he spat, throwing his helmet onto the grass. "Walk away, big shot." Jason's eyes flicked to the hammered remains of Lily's stand, to the money box on the edge of the curb, battered but still intact. Then he nodded toward Lily, who was trembling, her sneakers soaked. "You all right?" he asked, voice gentle yet firm. She could only manage a tiny nod. He gave her a slight, reassuring tilt of his head, and then his attention snapped back to the biker, who was now stalking closer. "Last warning," Jason said. He didn't raise his voice or puff out his chest. Instead, he stood perfectly still, like a statue that could explode into motion at the slightest provocation. "Leave the girl's money. Get on your bike. Right away." "You're not a cop," the biker growled. "Just some fancy actor who can't mind his own business." "We'll see about that." It happened so fast that Lily had no time to cry out. The biker lunged, throwing a sloppy punch. Jason pivoted gracefully, letting the fist sail past him. He brought a forearm up, deflecting the blow with practiced ease. Lily couldn't believe how fluid it looked, like a choreographed scene, except there were no cameras rolling, no stunt wires. This was real. Enraged, the biker swung again. This time, Jason leaned back just enough for the punch to miss his chin. In one smooth motion, he swept a leg around and clipped the biker's ankles. Down the man went, crashing onto the sidewalk. A grunt of pain escaped him, and for a moment Lily hoped that might be enough to knock some sense into him. But the biker, fueled by anger and perhaps something stronger, booze or the frantic desperation of a man on the edge, scrambled back to his feet. He glared at Jason, eyes blazing with hatred. "You'll regret that," he panted. Jason didn't bother with a retort. He simply set his stance again, calm as ever. That only provoked the biker more. He launched a furious barrage of strikes, wild, untrained. Jason moved like water, minimizing the impact with strategic blocks and counterstrikes. Again, the biker hit the ground, this time landing on his side and hissing in pain. "That's enough," Jason said, stepping back and letting his arms drop. though he was still ready. "Stay down." But the biker's fury was unquenchable. Instead of lunging at Jason again, he scrambled for the shattered lemonade stand. With a swift motion, he grabbed the plastic pitcher, the one Lily had used to serve her customers, and hurled it toward Jason. The pitcher, dripping with remnants of lemonade and melting ice cubes, soared in an arc. Jason ducked, and it struck Lily's father's truck behind him with a dull thud. A bystander's voice cut through the moment. "Hey, stop." Lily turned to see Mr. Porter, her neighbor, stepping out of his white sedan. He had parked across the street, presumably drawn by the commotion. A handful of other onlookers gathered at a cautious distance. Ms. Jensen from the corner house, an older couple walking their dog, a few curious teens on bicycles. Jason took advantage of the distraction. He darted forward and locked the biker's arm behind him in a quick, painful hold. The man howled in protest, knees buckling as Jason forced him to the ground. "I'm done playing nice," Jason said in a clipped, no-nonsense tone. "Are you going to leave, or do we need the police here?" The biker writhed, veins popping in his neck. But with Jason's strength pinning him down, it was clear he had little chance of overpowering the actor. The twisted expression on his face told Lily he wasn't the type to back off easily, though. Sure enough, after a moment's struggle, the biker spat at the pavement and managed a raspy laugh. "Go on, call them," he sneered. "Wouldn't be the first time I've been arrested. I'm not afraid of it." Jason locked eyes with him, unconcerned. "Suit yourself." "Jason, the police station is just 4 blocks that way," Mr. Porter spoke up. Then he looked at Lily, took in her drenched shorts, the overturned cups, and the splintered wood. "Jesus, Lily, are you all right?" Lily pressed her lips together, nodding in a dazed way. Her heart still hammered from the violence. This was not the day she expected, the day she had planned so meticulously, hoping to sell enough lemonade to buy her new helmet and maybe some extra goodies. Instead, she was left with a trembling body, a destroyed stand, and a deep sense that her innocence had been ruptured. A siren howled in the distance, and Lily wondered if maybe someone had already called the cops. The local station usually responded quickly to trouble in Riverside Grove, though trouble was so rare that half the time there was little to do but direct traffic around the annual fair. The biker shot a glance toward the sound, his upper lip twitching. For a brief moment, Lily saw something else in his eyes, maybe desperation, maybe fear. Then he made his decision. He twisted under Jason's hold with surprising dexterity, managing to roll out of the lock. He sprang to his feet, panting, a half-mad smile on his lips. Without a word, he sprinted for his motorcycle. Jason tensed to follow, but the biker was already swinging a leg over the seat. The engine roared awake, and he sped off down the street, weaving past the newly arrived police cruiser. The officers lurched out, hands on their holsters, but the biker leaned low, gunning the throttle. Tires screamed, and he vanished around the corner with a screech so loud it set a nearby car alarm into a wailing frenzy. Lily sank to her knees in relief and shock. She barely registered Jason stepping over to her, kneeling by her side. His calm face was etched with concern, and the chiseled edges of his jawline were taut with tension. "Are you hurt?" he asked gently. She tried to speak, but managed only a shaky squeak. Jason put a hand on her shoulder, steadying her. "All right," he murmured. "Let's get you away from this mess." The police cruiser, lights still flashing, approached in a hurry. 2 officers, Officer Burns and Officer Kaneko, raced out, scanning the scene. Mr. Porter began explaining what had happened, pointing in the direction where the biker had fled. Amid the chaotic swirl of activity, Lily found herself clinging to Jason, the only stable presence in that moment. He offered her a small, reassuring nod. "We'll figure this out," he said. Somehow, even though her lemonade stand was a wreck, and her hard-earned money might have been at risk, she believed him. There was calm in his voice, a sense of control that transcended the turmoil. And though she was too exhausted to form the words, she was filled with gratitude. Somehow, the real Jason Statham had shown up to protect her. That singular thought felt too surreal for a small-town girl who thought Hollywood was a world away. The next few hours stretched into an endless string of questions, worried neighbors, and fluttering police notepads. The officers took statements from everyone who had witnessed the altercation. Lily shivered in her damp clothes, occasionally reaching down to poke at the broken remains of her wooden stand with the toe of her sneaker. Each time she glanced at Jason, he was politely answering the officers, recounting how he'd only wanted to help a little girl in trouble. Lily overheard one officer joke, "We sure appreciate you stopping by, Mr. Statham. Maybe we can use your skills on the force." Jason responded with a humble, half-smile. Eventually, Lily's parents arrived on the scene. Her mother nearly fainted at the sight of Lily's lemonade-soaked, trembling figure, while her father pulled her into a fierce hug. Mr. Alvarez then turned to Jason, eyes shining with respect. "I don't know how to thank you." Jason waved it off with a small shrug. "No thanks necessary, mate. Anyone would have done the same." "Not anyone," Lily's father insisted. "That maniac was huge and out of control. You didn't hesitate." Jason met his gaze with a quiet gravity. "Some things you don't hesitate about." In that moment, Lily's mother stepped forward, tears brimming in her eyes. She thanked Jason with a gentle handshake and offered to let him clean up inside their house if he needed to. He politely declined, but did accept a cold water bottle. The entire neighborhood seemed to buzz with curiosity. People stared from their porches, whispered about the sudden appearance of an international action star in their sleepy town. But Jason seemed less concerned with the attention and more focused on Lily. Each time an officer asked her a question, she grew flustered, tangling her words. Jason would politely interject. "I believe the man demanded her money box," and when Lily refused, he offered Lily a reassuring nod, letting her know she wasn't alone in the telling. Finally, once the officers had gathered enough information, they thanked Lily's family and Jason for their cooperation, promising to put out an APB on the biker. With the official business done, the crowd began to thin. The old couple with the dog shuffled away. The teenagers hopped back on their bikes, and Ms. Jensen returned to her crocheting next door. Only a small knot of neighbors remained, talking about how jarring this incident had been. Lily, standing in the shadow of her father's truck, felt drained. She stared at the splintered wood that once formed her proud stand. Her dream of a new helmet was drenched and battered, the money box lying pathetically in the gutter. The afternoon sun had already dried up most of the lemonade puddle, leaving a sticky residue on the pavement. "Lily," her mother said softly, "let's get you inside, Anne." "Could you give me a minute?" Lily replied, trying to muster a smile. She wasn't sure why, but she needed a moment alone to process everything. Her mother paused, then nodded. "Sure, sweetheart." As her parents walked toward the front porch, Lily crouched down to collect broken pieces of wood and crumpled cups, hoping to salvage at least something. That was when she felt a presence by her side. Looking up, she saw Jason crouch down as well, picking up the top sign, "Lily's Lemonade," ice cold and best around, now speckled with grime and flecks of splintered timber. "Shame," he said quietly, turning the sign in his hands. "You put a lot of work into this, didn't you?" Lily shrugged, her throat tight. "Yeah, but it's okay." The words came out automatically, the way kids pretend they're stronger than they are. "I could build a new one. The money is, well," she looked at the gutter. Most of the bills were still there, though one or two had been whisked away by the wind. All told, she'd lost at least a few dollars and had definitely lost the day's remaining lemonade. Jason's gaze followed hers, and he frowned at the scattered bills. "That's not okay," he said gently. "That man had no right to do that." An unexpected wave of tears blurred Lily's vision. She tried to blink them away before Jason could see, but he noticed. He handed her a small, clean napkin from his pocket. She took it gratefully, dabbing at her eyes and sniffling. "I'm sorry," she mumbled, embarrassed. I've been saving for so long, and I'm almost there. But the stand is destroyed, and now," she trailed off, feeling foolish. The man in front of her was a world-famous actor. He probably had more important things to worry about than a broken lemonade stand in a nowhere town. But Jason didn't look bored or patronizing. Instead, he gave her a look of understanding. "Lily, let me help," he offered softly. "Let's see what we can do to fix this." She shook her head automatically. "I can't ask you to do that. You've already done enough." You saved me from. She couldn't say it, but the memory of the biker's towering form, his fists clenched, made her shudder. I've done what anyone should do, Jason insisted, setting the broken sign aside. But I can still help you rebuild. I'm actually in Riverside Grove for a bit. Longer than I expected, anyway. Thought I'd stay under the radar, but he gave a wry, self-deprecating chuckle. Looks like that didn't go as planned. Her eyes widened. You're staying here? In our town. Most celebrities pass through Riverside Grove only if they got lost or needed gas on the way to Los Angeles. Jason nodded. Long story. But the short version is, I'm between filming and needed some time away from the chaos. Found a small place to rent. Then I saw your stand and thought I'd grab a lemonade. Didn't realize I'd be jumping into a fight. He paused, gaze turning serious. That biker was out of line. I'm just glad you're safe. She glanced at her broken stand. Thank you, she whispered. A swell of gratitude and some lingering shock made her words come out husky. I don't know what I would have done if you hadn't shown up. He gently ruffled her damp hair. Well, you're safe now. Let's see about tomorrow. If you'll let me, I can help rebuild this stand. Maybe we can make it even better than before. What do you say? In all the madness, Lily had never expected an offer like that. But hearing it from him, someone who actually knew how to handle tough situations, felt oddly reassuring. Something told her she could trust him. Maybe it was his calm demeanor, or the fact that he had risked himself moments earlier without blinking. Lily carefully gathered the fallen bills from the gutter, putting them back into her money box. She discovered that she still had around $23, which wasn't too bad, given how the day had unfolded. I want to pay you, she blurted. Not a lot. Just something to thank you for your time. Jason chuckled. Let me put this plainly. I have done okay in my career. I don't need payment. Keep your money for that helmet you mentioned. Her cheeks went red. She realized just how silly her offer might have sounded. Right, sorry. I'm used to doing things on my own. He stood up, offering her a hand. She took it, rising to her feet. I respect that, Jason said. But sometimes letting someone help you isn't weakness, it's community. Or at least, that's how I see it. The Alvarez family kitchen, normally a hub of laughter and comforting smells, felt tense in the aftermath. Lily's father poured a round of ice-cold lemonade into tall glasses. Nothing fancy, no mint or lime, just lemon, water, and sugar. The simplest way to steady the nerves. Jason stood by the window, leaning on the counter, glancing occasionally at the driveway, as if expecting trouble to roll back in at any moment. So you're really staying in Riverside Grove? Lily asked as she sipped from her glass. She was sitting at the kitchen table while her mother wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. Jason nodded. Yeah, rented a small house by the orchard on the east side of town. Figured it'd be quiet enough to get some peace. Maybe take a break from the hustle of the city. The irony of finding himself caught in a roadside brawl over lemonade was not lost on him. Lily could see the faint twist of humor at the corner of his lips. Despite the tension, she managed a little smile. Her father spoke up. Well, Mr. Statham, you've shown a lot of courage today. I know you say any decent person would do the same, but still, we're deeply grateful. We'd like to offer you dinner. Maybe not tonight, given the chaos, but soon. We'd love to hear how you ended up in our corner of the world. If you'd like, we can also show you the best hiking spots. We have some lovely trails. Lily chimed in, and if you're bored, you can come and watch the local baseball games. My friend Quinn plays shortstop on the Riverside Ravens. They have a tournament next weekend. Jason gave a genuine smile. That all sounds great. Thank you. I'll be glad to join you for dinner or a ball game once things calm down. Mom, Lily said, turning to her mother who was fussing with the edges of the blanket around Lily's shoulders. Is it okay if Jason helps rebuild my lemonade stand? He offered. Mrs. Alvarez looked surprised, but then a fond grin found her lips. Of course it's okay, if that's something you want to do. I think you two might make quite the team. Mr. Alvarez raised an eyebrow, as though imagining the famed actor hammering nails on their front lawn. I'll lend you my tools, he said with a laugh. It'll be a story to tell. Jason chuckled good-naturedly. Glad to help. A comfortable lull settled in. Outside, Lily could see the shadows lengthening as the day wore on. Her hands shook a bit, adrenaline still coursing through her. She tried to steady the glass so as not to spill. The reality of the attack was only now fully sinking in. A random biker had threatened her, broken her stand, and tried to rob her. If Jason hadn't come along. Her mother seemed to sense Lily's growing anxiety and stepped behind her, rubbing her shoulders gently. "It's all right," she soothed. "You're safe now. The police will handle it." "Right," Lily murmured. But in the back of her mind, she wondered if that was true. She knew the cops couldn't be everywhere at once. The thought of that biker, angry and possibly seeking revenge, sent a chill up her spine. Jason seemed to catch the flicker of fear in her eyes. "You have security cameras around here?" he asked Mr. Alvarez. He shook his head. "Used to be we never needed them. But times change, I guess. Maybe it's time we install a system." "Yeah," Jason replied. "Might be wise, especially after this." He hesitated, then added, "I'm no security expert, but if you need help picking out a system, I can ask around. I know a few people who are good with that sort of thing." Mrs. Alvarez gave him a grateful smile. "We'd appreciate that." Lily chewed on her lip. This was a lot to handle. She just wanted her life to go back to normal, her biggest worry being how to attract customers on hot days. Yet everything felt different now, as if the innocence had been punctured. She stole a look at Jason. He seemed quietly vigilant, scanning the yard as though anticipating any threat. Despite his calm demeanor, she sensed the tension in his muscles, the readiness he carried. She found it strangely comforting. Eventually, Jason cleared his throat. "I think I should head to my place," he said. "Change into something clean. But about tomorrow, if you're okay with an early start, I can swing by with some wood. We'll measure, cut, build. I might not be a professional carpenter, but I can hammer nails." Lily brightened. "Yes, please. I can even pay for the wood if it's not too expensive." He waved a hand dismissively. "I'll handle it. Consider it an apology on behalf of that idiot who wrecked your stand." Her father clapped Jason on the shoulder. "Thank you again, truly. You're always welcome here." Jason set his glass down on the table, gave a final nod to everyone, and then headed out. Lily rushed to the door after him, just to see him off. Standing on the porch, she watched him cross the lawn, boots crunching on the gravel. He paused by the gutter where the biker's helmet still lay abandoned. With a thoughtful frown, Jason picked up the dirty helmet and turned it in his hands. Lily joined him, stepping off the porch carefully. "Why'd he leave it?" she asked, both curious and creeped out. Jason examined the helmet's scuffed surface. On the back, a painted symbol of a coiled snake and a pair of wings had been half scratched away. "He must have panicked," Jason murmured. "Left in a hurry. Do you think he'll come back for it?" Jason's lips thinned. "Could. Or maybe it's worthless to him. Either way, we should hand it to the police. Maybe they could trace something. A gang emblem or a custom detail. Might help him find him." Lily grimaced, recalling the twisted anger on the biker's face. "I hope they do find him. He scared me." Jason set a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I know, but you won't be alone, Lily. This town looks out for its own, yeah?" She attempted a smile. "I guess so. And we have you." "Just doing my part," Jason replied softly. "But don't give me too much credit. I'm just a bloke who happened to be around. Now get some rest. Tomorrow we rebuild." He walked off, helmet in hand, toward a sleek black SUV parked a few houses down. Lily watched him go, a swirl of gratitude and uncertainty mingling in her chest. The sky had softened to a dusky orange, and the faint hum of crickets started up in the nearby bushes. Despite the day's ugliness, there was a strange sense of hope in the air. She told herself she'd try to sleep, try to shake off the lingering fear. After all, tomorrow held the promise of building something new. Her father walked up behind her, placing a gentle hand on her shoulder. "He's a good man," he said simply. "Yeah," Lily whispered. "He is." Then she allowed herself a long exhale, letting go of some of the tension locked in her chest. The day's chaos wasn't easily forgotten. Her stand was still shattered, the sunburn on her arms still stung, and the memory of the biker's rage was etched into her mind. But for now, she'd focus on the positive. She was safe, and help had arrived in the unlikeliest star-studded form. Maybe, just maybe, tomorrow would be a fresh start. Sleep did not come easily to Lily that night. Each time she closed her eyes, she saw the biker's sneer twisting at the edges of her memory. She tossed, and turned, replaying the events, his fist slamming down on the stand, the ice skittering across the pavement. Jason's sudden intervention. She tried to distract herself by imagining what a new lemonade stand might look like, how she could upgrade it now, that she'd have help from someone who had the skill and resources to do it right. When morning finally dawned, pale light crawling through her curtains, she swung her feet onto the floor and rubbed her eyes. Outside her window, the early birds were chirping, and a crispness in the air hinted at a milder day. She slipped into a comfortable t-shirt and jeans, then headed downstairs. Her parents were already awake, sipping coffee at the kitchen table, eyes still bleary from a restless night. "Any news from the police?" Lily asked, grabbing a glass of orange juice. She found she didn't have much appetite for breakfast. Her mother shook her head. "Not yet. Officer Burns said they'd call if they had any updates on the biker." Mr. Alvarez frowned. "I'm thinking of heading to the hardware store soon. Maybe picking up some lumber. You still set on rebuilding that stand?" Lily set her glass down. "Yes," she said firmly. "I don't want him to take that away from me. I'm not going to be scared off from doing something I love." A flicker of worry twisted her stomach, but she forced herself to sound resolute. Her father's serious expression softened into a smile. "That's my girl. Proud of you." At exactly 9 o'clock, a knock sounded at the front door. Lily dashed to answer it, tugging the door open to find Jason Statham standing there with a small stack of 2x4 boards in his arms, plus a roll of sturdy plastic sheeting. He wore a simple black t-shirt and a pair of worn jeans, the faintest stubble on his chin. He grinned. "Morning. Thought I'd get a head start." "You didn't have to bring supplies," Lily exclaimed, stepping back to let him in. "I wanted to," Jason insisted, setting the materials gently against the hallway wall. "Figure it might speed things up." Her parents emerged from the kitchen, exchanging warm greetings with Jason. Mr. Alvarez offered him a mug of coffee, which Jason accepted gratefully. Then they all trooped outside to the front lawn, where the destroyed remnants of Lily's stand still lay in a sad little pile. A wave of anger rose in Lily's chest at the sight, but she forced it down. She wanted to replace the bitterness with determination. "All right," Jason said, placing his coffee mug on the porch rail. "Let's see what we're working with." For the next hour, Lily found herself immersed in problem-solving. Jason measured out lengths of wood while she held the tape measure. He showed her how to mark the boards with a pencil at precise intervals. Together, they sketched a rudimentary blueprint on the back of an old envelope. Mr. Alvarez lent his power tools and occasionally offered a hand, but mostly it was Jason guiding Lily, teaching her how to drill pilot holes, how to secure braces so the structure wouldn't wobble. She never felt so capable, so quickly. "Keep your fingers clear," Jason cautioned as she lined up a nail. "The hammer's heavier than you think." Lily gave him a mock glare. "I'm stronger than I look," she teased, but she did heed the advice, tapping the nail in carefully. She found herself engrossed in the work, the physicality of building overshadowing her lingering fear of the previous day. Neighbors wandered by, casting curious glances. Mrs. Jensen, peering over her fence, let out a cheerful, "Morning, Lily." "Morning, Mr. Statham. Good to see the newsstand coming along." Others whispered in amazement that the celebrity was not only still in town, but actively participating in a small-town chore. Lily felt a touch of embarrassment at the attention, but also a sweet rush of pride. As midday approached, the frame of the newsstand was taking shape. It was taller, sturdier, and had a clever hinged roof that Jason had suggested to keep the sun off Lily's head. She beamed as she ran her hands over the smooth wood. "This is already so much better," she said. "Thank you." Jason wiped sweat from his brow with the back of his hand. "You're welcome. I think we'll add a shelf here for your cups, maybe a side rack for your money box." He eyed the batter box with a frown. "Might need to replace that too, so it has a lock on it." Lily glanced down at the box she'd salvaged. It was dented, the lid hinge bent. "Yeah, a lock would be great," she admitted. "I guess I never thought I'd need one." Jason's brow furrowed, and he gave her a significant look. "You shouldn't need one, but we live in a world where it's better to be safe." She nodded, a pang in her heart. The day before had shown her how quickly innocence could be shattered. Part of her missed the days when she believed a lemonade stand on a sunny street was invincible. But if adding a lock meant she could keep going, she'd do it. They broke for lunch, courtesy of Mrs. Alvarez, who brought out sandwiches and fresh fruit. They all sat on the porch steps, sipping iced tea. Lily's father chatted with Jason about local hiking trails, while her mother recounted the small-town festivals that Riverside Grove was known for: apple pie bake-offs, chili cook-offs, an annual carnival. "Maybe I'll stick around for a carnival," Jason mused, taking a bite of his sandwich. "Sounds like fun." "Yeah," Lily chimed in enthusiastically. "We have a Ferris wheel sometimes. And there's a dunk tank for charity." She paused, grinning. "If people knew you were in it, they'd line up around the block." Jason laughed. "Let's keep that under wraps, or we'll lose the element of surprise." The midday sun beat down, but there was a pleasant breeze. Lily felt almost normal again, lulled by the hum of summer insects and the comfortable chatter. Occasionally, though, a sliver of anxiety pricked her mind. Thoughts of the biker who had sped off. Where's he now? Would he come back? After lunch, they resumed work. By early afternoon, the newsstand was nearly complete, sanded down and ready for paint. Lily's father had a half-empty can of bright turquoise paint in the garage, left over from redoing the shutters. "We can make it more colorful," Lily said, rummaging in the shed for other paints, some white, some black. She had an idea for bold letters across the top. "What's your stand going to be called this time?" Jason asked, handing her a paintbrush. Lily hesitated. She'd loved her old sign, but maybe a fresh start required something new. "How about Lily's Legendary Lemonade?" she suggested shyly. Jason nodded in approval. "Sound perfect." Painting the sign turned out to be her favorite part. She sketched the letters in pencil, then filled them in with white paint against the turquoise backdrop. She added a small lemon icon in the corner for flair. Her father even installed a small side hook so she could hang a little chalkboard advertising the day's specials. By 4 o'clock, it was done. The stand stood proud and resilient on the front lawn. It looked professional, playful, and best of all, it felt safe. Lily stepped back, wiping sweat and paint smudges from her forehead. She felt a surge of pride. "I can't believe it's finished," she breathed. "It's so amazing." Jason surveyed it with satisfaction. "We did a good job," he agreed. A couple of neighborhood kids rolled by on their bikes, gawking at the project. "Cool stand," they called out, giving Lily a thumbs up. She beamed. The sense of community was stronger than ever. People were rooting for her, and a big reason was the unlikeliest hero leaning against the new structure. The day might have ended on that triumphant note, if not for the approaching roar of a motorcycle engine. Lily froze, paintbrush still in hand. Her heart hammered. Even Jason stood up straighter, scanning the street. A black and chrome Harley rumbled around the corner. But as it drew closer, Lily let out a breath of relief. The rider was not the same tall, tattooed man from yesterday. It was a younger guy in a spotless leather jacket, maybe passing through. He gave a friendly wave and continued on his way. Still, the knot in Lily's stomach tightened. She realized that for a while, maybe a long while, every motorcycle's roar would remind her of that moment. Jason seemed to sense her unease. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Hey, it's all right," he said softly. "We're in this together, remember?" She nodded, swallowing hard. "Right, I'm okay." They wrapped up the day by storing leftover materials in the garage. Jason insisted on cleaning and returning the tools, and Lily's father insisted that he stay for dinner. Jason hesitated, checking his watch, but relented under their friendly coaxing. Over a simple meal of grilled chicken, roasted vegetables, and a caramel cake from the local bakery, Lily felt a sense of normalcy returning. They talked about movies, their favorite recipes, and life in Riverside Grove. For a few hours, she forgot the terror that had gripped her just yesterday. But as night fell and Jason finally bid them goodbye with a promise to stop by soon, Lily felt that same flicker of disquiet. The stand was rebuilt, stronger than ever, but what if the man who destroyed it came back? Was she ready to face him again? She found some measure of solace in Jason's parting words before he walked out the door. "We've rebuilt once. We can do it again if we have to, and I won't let him hurt you." Lily believed him. And that belief was what she held on to when she finally crawled into bed, exhausted from a day of wood and paint and new beginnings. No matter what happened next, she had friends, no, family, who'd protect her, and maybe even a celebrity guardian angel who just happened to be in the right place at the right time. With that comforting thought, she drifted off, dreaming of serving lemonade to a line of smiling faces, the summer sun gentle and safe overhead. The end.